So let's look at that date now from the perspective of what's going on inside of her head. Oh shit, I thought you were like a big group. I thought you were like a family over here.
How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good. Alright.
Oh man, you look all so much more like professional and worky than last time I saw you. Yeah. Go this way. Or you just go like, we go through here. You can go through here. It'll work. Oh man. So how was the office? Wasn't bad? I was pumping here actually. Actually, do you want to go inside or you want to go out on the patio? Inside or out on the patio?
Is it warm? Yeah.
I think there's heat lamps. So it's moderate. If you're at all cold, we'll go inside. Let's go inside. We'll stay inside.
Alright.
So this is an extremely minor point in the broad scheme of things, but on the date, you need to be a leader and you need to be decisive, okay? The decisions you make are not that important. Going to exactly the right restaurant, picking the exactly right bottle of wine, sitting in the exact right place, not that important, but it is important that you be decisive and not waffle, all right? I remember one of the first dates I ever went on, I was at a movie store picking a movie to rent and go home with a girl, and I was so worried about it being like the perfect movie. I spent a really long time, I was hesitating, going back and forth. A bunch of the girls just got pissed off and just grabbed a random movie and said, let's get out of here. The whole date from there on was very, very cold because she was very unimpressed by my inability to make a decision, all right? The decisions themselves don't matter that much, but she needs to view you as a leader and she needs to view you as decisive. Madame, I will be your maitre d'. Any insinuants, I would just, I would take care of you. This evening, you're in my capable hands.
I will do gin and tonic.
So that is quite possibly the worst French accent ever seen. However, the fact that I'm being playful, the fact that I'm being a little silly, it's very good. Remember in the Attractive Man Matrix, we talk about aliveness, right? Talk about being a little spontaneous, being a little goofy, a little silly, being willing to do dumb shit. It's that kind of behavior. This is a silly little example, but it is a little example. The fact that I'm making silly impressions means I'm not that nervous about the date. It means I'm pretty confident and cool and relaxed with myself, et cetera, right? It's also funnier. It's more interesting, all right? Be willing to be a little crazy, be willing to be a little kooky when you're with girls. Now, you don't want to do it from a bad frame. You don't want to do it from a low-value frame or a frame of you don't think you're enough or you have to try and impress. But if it's fun for you to do something a little crazy or a little goofy, by all means, go right ahead and do it.
Yeah, okay.
You have a very cute laugh, by the way. I said you have a very cute laugh, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Did I laugh already? I didn't even notice.
Yeah, well, I'm usually boring, so I'll take what I can get. Gin and tonic?
Gin and tonic. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, done. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
Can we do a gin and tonic and then an amaretto sour?
No amaretto.
Okay. In that case, do you have like a raspberry? Actually, do a Dirty Shirley.
You said what?
Dirty Shirley, like a Shirley Temple with vodka.
Sure.
Yeah. So in a moment, you're gonna have to explain to me exactly what it is you do, because I am.
Well, I am reading work emails.
Are you really? Oh my god.
I'm always.
All right. So I'm going to take that to mean I just asked about your work, and your implication is it's going to get messy. Got it.
No, it's not. So I work for. It's fun. I love it. Now, what do you do?
Now, what do I do? I'm still curious about you, but okay. I do a bunch of different stuff. So what you're about to hear is my breakdown of what I do for a living. Obviously, I'm not going to tell her that I'm a professional pickup instructor and dating coach, especially when I'm filming for a product. But even in general, I'm not going to tell her that because the problem is it is very high value, for sure, but it's all the wrong kind of value. It makes the girl feel as though if and when she sleeps with me, it's a loss for her. She's like the next notch on the bedpost and not a win. It wasn't a special, unique experience. She didn't stand out, etc. Okay? So that's why I don't go with that. However, I do want to convey something along the lines of my lifestyle. So I want to tell her in a very kind of blasé way where I don't seem to care that much, it doesn't seem like a big deal, that I am successful and that I have a fun and interesting life, that if she became a part of it would probably be fun and interesting for her as well. Okay, so I want to say that, but I want to say that in a very non-braggy, non-try-hard way. So I'll do it by being kind of like off the cut, like kind of blasé about it, kind of like dismissive about certain things. I'll do it by sort of like skipping over certain details and highlighting others. But just watch kind of how I present it. And obviously you have a different job than me, so you're going to present different things. But notice the tone and notice the type of details that I do mention.
I travel a lot.
I do travel a bit, yes. So I started as a professional poker player. Made some amount of money doing that. Rolled that into an investment business. And then while I was kind of getting that going, I did sort of like a media business where I did videos, publishing, marketing a little bit, that kind of stuff. So now I kind of do the investing and then the media stuff here and there. Investing's the main thing going forward, but the media and marketing stuff's good because it allows the travel. So it's like, hey, I want to go to Europe. Let me just arrange an event in Europe and then we can go. Or I want to go to San Francisco, same kind of thing. So, it's an interesting. You have the most adorable, like blushy face right now. Yeah. But it's good though. It's sort of a lifestyle business in the sense that it makes. It's not the most lucrative it could be, but it definitely makes for a good, fun life. And then the finance stuff that's kind of the financial end game.
If you have fun and you love what you do, then does it matter?
I think I can say yes to those. Yeah.
How was
everywhere?
Yeah.
Did you travel a bit, or are you just like you're like the I long to travel, or the I have traveled a bit, or what's the?
I'll get there.
I'll get there. So here I want to point out she's really into the fact that I travel, like really, really into it. And why is that? It's because I've been texting her and I've been just like updating certain things, and she's kind of seen it as we've been talking. But beyond that, I use Snapchat, which is me just sharing my travels with the world. And I don't even do that great of a job of Snapchat because I rarely get on it. But when I do get on it, I am showing a pretty interesting, cool life. And so for that reason, she's into it. Now, why is it that women relate so well with Snapchat? Well, they like seeing the life that they could be living. They like high-value guys. But if you're sending them texts individually, hey, look at my life, hey, look at my life, that's bragging and trying hard. But when you put it out to the world and they happen to look onto it via like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, something like that, you didn't try and brag, right? It's the same vibe of what I'm trying to do verbally, which is convey all this cool information without bragging, except it's just like, it's almost like a proven form of it, especially because Snapchat, you can't import pictures. Like they know that you're taking them right there on your phone. So it just is really, really good lifestyle social proof. And so she's responded to the lifestyle social proof, and she likes me a lot because of it. It makes a lot of my work easier. But notice that phenomenon, and use Snapchat and social media to your advantage, but also notice the phenomenon of what the underlying reason is, which is you're conveying attractive qualities by accident, and learn other ways to convey attractive qualities by accident. How old are you again?
23.
All right.
What are you?
You're like youngish. The opposite?
Yeah.
What, 32? That's an opposite now? That's cute. You're close actually.
35.
Oh, you went up instead of down. I'm offended. It was really nice meeting you. You should go.
What is it?
Huh? 34. Yeah, I give you shit for like almost being right. I expected the funny thing is most people say like 27 for me, or 28.
I mean, I wouldn't think that you were 34, but I remember you telling me before. I couldn't remember exactly what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So continue with your adventures.
So it's been like a month or more than a month since I met her, and she still remembers details of our conversation. That's absolutely huge as a signal that she's pretty invested. Okay, girls get hit on a ton. This girl is a pretty social person. She talks to tons and tons of people. The fact that she remembers specific details about our conversation a month later means that she's invested, means she's bought in. And this is a signal you should be reading, okay? You should at all times when talking to a girl know where you're at. Know how much she likes you. Know in what way she likes you. And use that information to know if you need to chill out and back off and not escalate for a while, or to know if she really likes you and you can go ahead and start trying to move things forward, etc. Because there are two major mistakes guys make in game. One is escalating when it's not on, and two is not escalating when it is on. If you're able to know when it's on and know when to escalate, and then you escalate in the right way, you're pretty much doing everything in game the right way. So you want to notice these indicators. Notice these very big positive indicators of interest. Not to get emotional about them. If you're not getting a bunch of indicators of interest, you shouldn't be like, oh shit, I suck, it's going badly. And if you are getting them, you shouldn't get a big head about it. But they are sort of like benchmarks to know what the correct game move next is. It's kind of all over the place.
Definitely all over the place.
Yeah, I literally don't know what to do with you. You're like very annoying. Like you're, I don't know. You just like smile and laugh at everything. You either like have nothing to say, or you like have a very happy demeanor. I'm not quite sure which. You're like, oh yeah.
Both.
All right. Fair
No,
enough.
I'm just always happy. Happy, smiley, positive.
Not a bad way to be.
No.
It's definitely better than the alternative. If you showed up and you were like all downer and like miserable and grumpy and like crying, I'd be like, well, sorry.
See you later.
Yeah. So yeah, this work thing came up. I didn't want to like leave you hanging. It's been so, but I guess I really gotta go. I hope you don't hate me. Listen, rain check for never.
Forever. That's a good one.
So notice, first of all, that I am now making things relevant to her. I'm talking about her. I'm teasing her a little bit. It's no longer small talk. But also, maybe more importantly, notice the frame that it's all coming from. It's the frame of, do I approve of you? I am the one who's unassailably cool, and I'm the one who's the decider in whether you're cool or not. As opposed to the other way around, which is how it is for most guys. Most guys, when they talk to girls, they're coming from that frame of, how can I impress you? And the girl's coming from the frame of, oh, do I like you or not? Okay? And this flip in frame is fundamentally what happens with the highest value guys. Guys like celebrities of various kinds, super rich guys, the most popular guy in a social circle. These are the guys who don't try and prove themselves to girls because the girls already know who they are and the girls have already had crushes on them. Okay, so if you can flip that dynamic, you're automatically putting yourself in the role of guy who's a 9 or a 10. All right, it's massively, massively important. If you communicate from the other role, you communicate from that low value frame. Even if you are really cool within that low value frame, it's going to be very, very hard for you to convey the highest levels of value that are available to you as a man. I feel like I just turned on sales girl in you right now. You're like, well, we have a variety of features. You can check column A, column B. You see the actually, you just turned into like, Vanna White, like however old she is now, 70-year-old Wheel of Fortune girl.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I don't know how to separate work.
Like, yes, we have 3 E's.
There you go.
Oh, you've seen the show? It's
Yeah.
good. I'm surprised that show's still on. That show was on when I was a freaking 4-year-old.
Yeah, it's still on. I don't know who watches, but they're obviously getting ratings.
I just love it that they haven't changed the girl and like that seriously, that girl is like, I don't know, I haven't watched it recently, but if you can still stay looking good at like 70 or however old she must be by now.
I think there's a new girl up there.
Really?
I think there's a new girl.
You know what they probably did? They named some new girl Vanna White, and then they just like, oh, we still have Vanna White.
She's, I think there's a new girl up there.
I'm actually curious. This is the dumbest thing to Google because it doesn't really matter, but I'm actually just genuinely curious right now.
No, I research everything that I don't know. And when I know something, I research.
How old is? Oh, she's not 70. She's 60. So I guess it's not that bad. 59 years old. Still, for being like a spokesmodel on TV, not so bad. I mean, Vanna White, Hillary Clinton, both. Oh wait, no, she's 69. Never mind. That's 10 years different. Maybe in 10 years she'll look like Hillary Clinton. Who knows? Sorry. So given what happens whenever I teach students live and I ask them sort of questions, I'm going to guess some of you out there are thinking, wow, Tata is like saying this thing about this girl being old and how she should be replaced as a way to trigger insecurity in this girl. And if you were thinking that, you're absolutely and completely wrong. Now, however, that might make sense actually, looking really deeply, if she was like older and it might be a point of insecurity or something like that. But don't overthink things, all right? Not everything I do is super calculated. Sometimes conversation is just normal conversation. It's very easy because I am very analytical in game to try and nitpick every single thing I'm doing and try and analyze every single word out of my mouth. Don't. A lot of it is just random verbiage, and I do want to point that out because I'm sure that this may or may not be you, but I'm sure some people watching this is like, oh, Todd's doing some kind of evil, like she's going to be too old soon, insecurity frame thing. No, there's nothing like that going on. It's just conversation at this point. And with respect to thinking about what comes out of your mouth, if something comes out of your mouth that you overtly have a reason for, or you have a strong motivation for it, by all means go with it. But if you're just having normal conversation, don't micromanage your normal conversation to the point of every single word, right? If you happen to drop a bad word, like if you say the word my place, you might want to talk over it and get around it a little bit. Or if you happen to imply something very blatantly sexual by accident, you might like apologize and be like, whoa, I don't even know what I was thinking. You might want to back away from it or talk over it or get away from that thing. But for the most part, if you are micromanaging your conversation too much, it's only going to serve to put you in your head. Okay, so unless you have a very specific reason for doing something or a very specific reason for micromanaging or changing what you're doing verbally, the default should be have good conversations the way you would with a friend or with someone who's already your girlfriend, and just trust that it's good enough. When you're making adjustments, make only adjustments you know to be specifically good. It's like the Hippocratic Oath in medicine. First, do no harm, okay? So don't micromanage your way into your head and don't micromanage your way into like over-analysis paralysis. These adjustments that I'm making, I only am making them when I'm certain they're right, or when I'm, when it's a very high probability they're right. I'm not like trying to manage every single word, and I'm not trying to run the perfect set. I'm just trying to run a good set where I'm communicating with the girl and giving her what she's telling me that she needs moment to moment.
You drink fast. I'm a slow drinker.
Take your time. It's better that way. That way, you won't be able to get me drunk and take advantage of me. It's much better.
I'll down it in like 2 minutes.
Oh shit, girls got plans. I mean, I like you. I think you're cute too, but like, let's get to know each other a little bit, please.
Oh, you're funny. So,
You look so thoughtful right now. Like the hamster's like running around really, really fast on the wheel.
oh gosh. So you have like employees. Like, what do they do?
So I made a joke here, oh shit, girls got plans. But honestly, like, it sounds like girls got plans. I basically said, like, take your time, don't drink too fast, I don't want you taking advantage of me. And her immediate response is, I'll down this, right? That's a pretty good indicator of interest. Like, I wouldn't call her out on it too much, but basically make a note of this in the back of your head. She seems pretty okay with you. She seems pretty down with you. She seems to like you. These are good things. And they're all my like really good friends. That's the best part of it, is like I get to employ my very good friends and hang out with them and whatnot, but also like help them like lift them up where they belong and such.
That's good. Friends that help friends get ahead.
I feel like okay, so funny thing about me. So I'm not the most like nice to strangers, but once you're like in the circle, you're like in the circle for life. If that makes sense. And I will like
Nice to strangers.
I didn't say I'm not nice. I'm not the nicest. Like I'm not mean to. This is something I just completely said out of the blue. There was no prior part of this conversation. I just dropped in here. I'm not nice to strangers. Why would you do that? Why would I say that? Well, what I'm trying to convey here, and it's not like so calculated, it's just kind of a habit for me, and it is actually a habit of behavior as well, so it's actually true. But what I'm trying to convey here is the idea that I am the chief of my tribe. If that makes sense. So in my life, if you look at it, in my relationships, I'm the leader, I'm in charge. In my company, I am the boss, and I have employees, I have people that I tell to do things, but also who I'm responsible for taking care of. I have to pay their paychecks, and I have to make sure they're taken care of in that way. I have to make sure they have a place to stay when we're on the road. I have to make sure that all the flights are booked. And if anything goes wrong, I'm the one responsible. I'm the one who's going to be paying out of pocket for it, or I'm the one who's responsible for going and handling the detail, whatever. So I am the guy who's taking charge of taking care of other people on a regular basis, right? So I have my tribe. And what I'm indicating to her is I'm not that nice to strangers, which indicates high value, right? People who are too nice to everyone, kissing everybody's ass, are low value people. So I'm indicating high value, but I'm also indicating that I have my tribe of people and I take care of my tribe. And that's what a leader does. That's what an alpha male in like this on the savannas of Africa or wherever evolutionary environment you want to pick, that's what the alpha male does. They have their tribe and they protect their tribe from foreigners. And they don't spend a lot of time taking care of the outsiders. They take care of their core tribe. They take care of their family, right? And that's the next level of it is, this girl's looking at me as a sexual prospect. That means she's looking at me as potential family. So I'm telling her, I take care of my fucking family. Does that make sense? And I'm telling her this, it would be a provider trait, except for I'm telling her this as I'm the leader of the tribe, I'm the center of the tribe way. And so it's in a very alpha male way. It's in a very like lover, I could have lots of wives, but I will fucking take care of them kind of a way, all right? The underlying frame here, the underlying premise of this is an incredibly, incredibly attractive premise to women. And so that's why I throw in things like this. Strangers, but I don't go out of my way for strangers. But for people like in my like my circle, I will like go to the ends of the earth for them. I feel like it's a trade-off, right? Because the time I don't spend going out of my way for strangers, I can go out of my way for like friends and family and people I really care about.
Yeah. That's how it should be.
Yeah. That's my excuse for just being a global asshole. It's fine.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
I'm nice to you.
You're nice to all people, is that what you said?
But when I'm working, I don't micromanage, but
Wait, do you have like people that...
I am kind of like a...
Do you have people that answer to you?
But if I tell you to do something and then you don't do it right, I make you do it all over again.
That's how it's going to be between us, huh?
Maybe. Maybe not. I told you already.
So based on what she said, I had sort of sexual thoughts come into my mind. I realized this is something that could be misinterpreted sexually. And so the obvious thing to do would be to just call it out, right? But that's obvious and that's trying to bring sex into the conversation. And that's actually a pretty good move, right? If you thought to do that and you did that, that's a pretty good game move. What I did was one level beyond that, which is I'm going to bring it up, but I'm going to have the misinterpretation, but I'm going to make her ask me for the misinterpretation. I'm going to make it seem like an accident, so that it's going to be even more powerful, and it'll seem like I'm less try-hard in the way I'm bringing it up. I was about to say the most inappropriate thing, but I just wanted to say because it was clever.
Say it.
You're insatiable. It's a good thing I'm good. When she says, "Oh gosh, Todd," in that tone of voice, what does it actually mean? What it means is she's flustered and emotionally overwhelmed and she doesn't have a good response to it. And she knows that she should have a ladylike response, but she A, can't come up with one, and B, doesn't really want to have one. So she's kind of confused as to what to do and she's just reacting emotionally. Right? That's what I read from all that. So I read that all as very positive indicators, very positive signs, and signs that she's kind of on that same page with me in terms of she's thinking about sex as well.
What's your last name?
What's my last name? You always wondered it?
Yeah.
What an interesting way to phrase that. I always wondered that. I always wondered that doesn't mean, it's not the same as I'm curious, or it's weird that you didn't tell me, or something like that. I always wondered that means this is a thought that's occurred to me several times. This is a thought that's occurred to me multiple times. What does this say? It says she's been thinking about me in my absence, right? She's thought about Googling me. She's thought about who I might be. She's been thinking about me when we're not talking, right? What does this say? It means she's gone through the process of developing a bit of a crush on me, right? That's massive, okay? And it's worth noting, right? It means she sees me as this very, very high value guy. And what does this mean now that I know it, right? Number one, it means I have more liberty to escalate. Number two, it means that as I'm gaming her, I don't need to convey as much value. I can do more qualifying, more building comfort, more just generally talking to her and getting to know her and spending time with her because the value thing is already there. These subtle little word choices say a ton.
Because I always put last names in my phone.
I think you told me that when we met too. I think I intentionally was like, nope. You'll have to get to know me as a person. I was like, no, you have to get to know me as a person. I was like, I want to be known as me.
You put Todd B.
There you go.
What is it?
It's my last name, B.
No, it's
That's my last initial.
It's a good thing I don't have another Todd in my phone.
Well, if you ever get another Todd, if you happen to get a Todd better than me, you better marry him immediately, because it doesn't exist. But if you did, yeah, I'm like the benchmark. If you ever find anyone better than me, you found the best. Well, I'm not claiming I'm the best. I'm just claiming that anyone better than me would be the best. So you can imply from that whatever you'd like.
Okay. I'll take it and I'll think about it.
All right. So I have to. I literally. Well, I'll let you drink. I have to do this. I have to
touch it.
I have to. Yes, I have to feel what this is all about because it's such unusual. Okay.
What? It's a new
I'm done feeling you up now. Huh?
What?
No, it's just because it has the interesting pieces and stuff. I was curious what it like.
Oh, no, it's like.
I thought it was gonna be really extremely puffy and extremely warm actually.
No, it's just very obnoxious.
Alright. So it's a little unique and obnoxious.
Yeah.
So it suits you.
I'm unique but obnoxious. Thanks.
You're welcome.
No, this scarf, see, I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
Are you unraveling it?
No, I'm fixing it.
Oh, okay.
No, I just messed that one up. Usually if I go like this, it fixes. Well, not today. I'll just hide it. But yeah, I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
Not the biggest point, and not necessarily even a hugely strong indicator in this case with this particular girl. But there's one indicator of interest that's very common is what's called preening gestures. Preening meaning fixing oneself up. So if someone's fixing their hair a lot, if someone takes out their mirror and checks, big one that a girl is ready to be kissed and is thinking about kissing you and liking you is if she takes out her lipstick and reapplies it. Things like that, preening gestures are good indicators of interest. They're an indicator that the girl is thinking about her appearance with you, meaning she's self-conscious, she's wondering how you're perceiving her, meaning she cares. She cares how she looks. Here, this girl is preening away at her scarf and trying to make it perfect and fidgeting with it. And even on top of it, she's nervously explaining what she's doing and justifying everything she's doing as opposed to just doing it. These are very big indicators that she's highly, she cares a lot about my opinion of her, right? She's highly invested in having a good impression with me. And that's a very good indicator of interest. I see. Well, for me today, just be you. You don't have to be perfect, just be interesting. It's essentially my criteria. I don't expect the world of people. I just want.
I'm really boring.
It's really nice meeting you. I'm sure you have to get up early in the morning, so I think you should probably head home to wherever it is you live, and yeah. So obviously this last part is I'm disqualifying. That's a pretty standard thing. What I want to point out is what she said before, which is I'm pretty boring. Just kidding. The I'm pretty boring thing. This is an attractive girl, definitely. A girl who actually makes a lot of money based on her appearance, and has done a lot of things in her life based on her appearance. So definitely a girl that gets a lot of attention for that. She's also a girl that has a lot of other sort of accolades about her, which we won't get into for biography reasons. But she definitely is not used to qualifying herself to guys. She's definitely used to being doted on by guys. And so her natural instinct there, because of how she is to be I'm pretty boring. It was to not qualify herself. And then she actually went against that instinct and changed her mind with I'm just kidding. So her natural instinct with guys was to not qualify herself. She went out of her way to change that and qualify herself to me because she cares so much about my impression of her. Well, I want you to know, it was really wonderful meeting you. It's not you, it's me. I'm just really, I mean, you're still looking great. You look like you're in shape and everything. You've been, you're in the gym, you're good. Oh, you like flex for me. Let's see.
No, I have no muscle.
You just did like a second ago. You're like, I'll do it, just not on command.
No, my upper body, like I don't have any like arm strength. If that's
all right.
word. No, I really don't. It looks like it.
It's like have you seen like the Bugs Bunny cartoons where he flexes and it goes like down?
Yeah.
Hey, like
that's me. Only the flab isn't there. But yeah, I don't have any.
Nice. I just got the most not sexy picture of your arm. Anytime you tease a girl and then her response to it is to like hit you, punch you, put a hand on you, lean on you, if she has a physical response to being teased, that's a really good sign. Because why do girls do that? Here's why girls do that. Girls, especially attractive girls, are used to receiving forms of validation from guys when they touch them. Usually they touch a guy, the guy will hug them back, the guy will get reactive to them, the guy will get nervous, compliment them, those kind of things. And so when a girl's feeling devalidated, a lot of times her instinctive response is to touch the guy. And she's trying to get revalidated. And if you don't respond and don't touch her back, then she just tried harder to get your validation and didn't get it. And it's starting this like sort of like spiral of you becoming a bigger and bigger source of validation for her and her wanting to chase you harder and harder and harder. It's a really, really good sign. And it's something that you should A, notice, and B, not be super reactive to. Be happy when it happens, but don't be super reactive to it because it's putting you in a position of power. Yeah, it's like, in the 1990s when I grew up, I don't know, you're like, you're like nine.
It's not that big of a difference. Well, okay, yes, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
So I don't know if we're gonna get along. It's just like the pop culture references. I'll say like some Saved by the Bell shit, and you'll be like, "What is that?"
I like Saved by the Bell. I'm not that.
What was it like growing up? What did we have? We had like Saved by the Bell, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Mm-hmm. We had Animaniacs. I don't know if you have that. That was like the euphoria time. You're like, what is that?
No, that's what the three little.
Yeah, the three little cartoony mice things.
WB or something like that. Yeah, I remember that.
All right. I don't know. What else? I'm trying to think like shows I would have known as a kid that you wouldn't. Like Family Matters, which is like you'd have to watch that on rerun because I watched that one on rerun. You know, Water Period Jewel. Okay. Seinfeld, but you're old enough to know that.
You gotta find one that I don't know.
Are you like Miss Pop Culture? You probably know stuff I don't know from my time period in that case. I didn't even watch TV as a kid actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was a nerd.
I started off as a nerd.
Yeah?
Not even. I was like a little tomboy actually.
Lightning legs, tomboy?
Even my girlfriend, she's like, you've changed since high school. Like, I was like a tom, not a tom, but I like wearing sneakers. Like now, I don't wear any sneakers unless I'm working out, and I'm just much more girly. So it's like, you've changed, but in a good way.
So let's talk Blueprint a little bit. This girl is very, very not so much right now because she just came off work, although she does have little elements of extra high fashionability. Particularly the night that we met, she was dressed really, really well. She definitely used fashion to her advantage. She did a good job with it. So she is fashionable and girly in her way as far as that goes. And like I said, I'm not going to allude to the specific biography, but definitely she has gained some stature in life from her appearance. So she definitely has it going for her. And that's very, very clear. And she's now pointing that out, right? That she's very into that kind of stuff. So that's an area where it's something she takes some pride in. So it's something that I can A, tease her on, and B, compliment her on with greater effect than maybe in other areas, because it's something there. The other thing, this whole tomboy thing, is a useful bit of knowledge in a way. Just in the sense that she's not completely girly. Being a tomboy means she'll probably be a little bit tougher. She'll probably have higher self-esteem a little bit. She's probably a little more competitive, those kind of things. So this all plays into her blueprint, and all these things are going to be factors in how I may deal with her going forward. You have the most adorable facial expressions right when you finish sentences. You finish and then
doing my eyebrow thing.
I don't know. I'm gonna probably start note. I hadn't even looked at your eyebrows since whatever, but.
Well, the last time I saw you, you were like, can you stop doing that with your eyebrows? I don't know what I was.
Is that why you're wearing your hair over your face? You're like covering one of them? Again, she's remembering things from the previous conversation. That eyebrow comment or whatever I said about her eyebrows obviously made such a difference to her or had such an effect on her emotionally that she remembers it a month later. This is another great indicator that she's highly, highly reactive to me, right? And what does this mean for me on a practical level? It means I can assume she likes me. It means I don't have to build as much value. It means I can qualify her harder. She's going to be very willing to qualify. It means I can spend more time building comfort and not have to worry about losing value, because if she remembered me over a month, she's not going to like forget me over the next 5 minutes, okay? So again, just really good indicators to know where you're at, know what you can get away with, know how she's responding to you, etc.
See this?
Wait, let's see what we're going to...
Yeah.
Now I can tell you. Perfect. Now I can actually see what we're working with.
Hopefully I'm not doing the eyebrow thing. Usually, I don't know, maybe I was just a bit sassy that night. I was party girl that night.
I have no objections to sassy. So
Sassy's
here's a before your time. It's before my time too, though. So I want to make the point of how I just dealt with what she just said and also the story I'm about to tell. So she said she was a bit sassy. I said, I have no objections to sassy, okay? As a man, what is that conveying about me? I have no objection to sassy. I don't mind sassy girls. A lot of guys, when they talk about the kind of girls they want, you'll hear this from your friends. They'll be like, I want a girl who's down to earth. I want a girl who's not bitchy, right? I want a girl who's not stuck up. You know what? I want a girl who is bitchy and stuck up, right? Because the fact of the matter is, girls are not bitchy and stuck up across the board. They're bitchy and stuck up if they can get away with it. So when a girl's bitchy and stuck up, usually it's because she's hot and she gets away with it and she walks all over guys and eats them for breakfast, right? But with the right guy who she needs the validation from and who she views as higher value, she will not be bitchy and stuck up because she knows better, because she'll be afraid of losing him, right? And so I'm not afraid of dealing with a girl like that. So when I say I don't mind sassy, I'm indicating to her, I don't mind those bitchy girls. I can handle those bitchy girls. It's a very, very high value statement. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell her a story, this Walter Winchell story about it's okay to be a little like sassy or mean or whatever, as long as it's fun and witty, as opposed to just stupid and mean, like for its own sake. And so what I'm telling her here now is I'm telling her the blueprint I'm looking for. I'm telling her I want a girl that will be unique, will be witty, will speak her own mind, that kind of stuff, right? I'm telling her what I want her to be. A lot of the times when I'm telling girls what I want them to be, I'm actually telling them the values that will lead to a one-night stand or will lead to sex. In this case, that isn't necessarily the case. In this case, I'm telling her the values that will lead to me having a more enjoyable experience, right? The values that will lead to me enjoying the interaction with her, which kind of obliquely will lead to sex, because if I'm more engaged, I'll game her better. But really what I'm telling her is, this is how we're going to have a good time together. This is how you can actually impress me. Because again, if you don't tell her how to impress you, she can want to impress you all she wants, but she doesn't have a roadmap. So she has the desire, she has the car all fueled up, now I have to give her the map of how to impress me. So there was once upon a time a man named Walter Winchell. Walter Winchell, not windshield. Like Winchell's donut, like Winchell. Okay. He didn't the guy, but anyway. Winchell. Yeah, okay. Walter Winchell. And he was possibly the most influential news person of all time. Mm-hmm. So he was, before TV, he was like the king of radio during World War II, basically. Anyway, long-winded story to get to nothing. But he had this phrase. He said, you can say anything about me, no matter how mean or how harsh, as long as it's clever enough to put in my collar. I like that. I'm like, look, if you can be however sassy you want, as long as it's clever sassy. Yeah. But if you're gonna be sassy, you better not be boring. Because if you're sassy and boring, it won't work.
Hopefully I'm not boring.
Hopefully.
You said hopefully?
I said hopefully. I just, I mean, you seem alright so far, but I only know you a little bit.
I'm not boring.
Okay. What I was going to say.
I was about to say something.
Hold on.
No, you can go.
I have the right of way?
Yeah.
Yeah? What I was going to say is you have the most adorable expressions.
Yeah.
Right before you start talking and right after you finish talking. Yeah. The after you finish one is my favorite. Because it's like you just gave a book report or something like that, and you look over the teacher teacher, was that good?
Was that good?
Was that okay? Do you approve?
Approval. I seek approval?
Little bit. So obviously getting the girl to overtly agree that she's seeking approval with me is a pretty good indicator that she's pretty bought in, pretty good indicator of value. What I want to point out, obviously this whole, line of conversation is very fruitful for me and very good. But I just want to re-emphasize the importance of getting the girl to make those commitments, to take, because we already know she's qualifying herself to me. Like, you can already see it, the signals are there. She's been willing to qualify on several different areas for quite some time, but that's all sort of a subconscious urge right now, right? I haven't got her to consciously say, Todd, I like you. Todd, I'm seeking your approval. Todd, I want you to like me. If I can get her to consciously say that, that lasts forever, because emotions can fade, right? She's in an emotional state, she reacts a certain way. As soon as the emotions flush out of her body, it's no longer really there. But when she says something overt like, Todd, I like you, or when she makes the decision, Todd, I'm gonna, chase you, or something like that, if you get that logical decision, logical decisions don't go away once the emotions fade. So the last stage in, if you look at the hooking model in opening mastery, focus, relevance, emotion, decision. That last stage, getting from emotion to decision, is what sets the hook in place and makes it actually last instead of just being a fleeting thing, right? And that's true not just with the hook, but with any sort of escalation, with any sort of commitments, any sort of emotion the girl's having. You want to change the intangible emotional to a tangible logical, right? So you want to get that decision in place.
Learning about myself.
That's cute though.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's very, there should be a word for little kiddish. I don't know a word for that. Because any word I can think of that sounds that way, it sounds negative, which it's not. Like if I said immature, that sounds negative. Pure? Yes, it's very pure. That's what I was thinking of.
Not the word, but it's the closest thing to children. Pure.
I almost want to say precocious. It's not quite right, but it's yeah, no.
Halfway there.
Halfway, yeah.
Halfway there. We're done. Need another drink. I actually hate those cherries.
Do you really?
Yeah, I hate those cherries.
Are you about the first person I've ever met that hates them, but fair enough.
Yeah, I like the red cherries. Those are something else.
Like Bing cherries?
Huh?
Like Bing cherries?
I guess. Is that the name of it? It's like the dark red ones.
The ones you buy in the supermarket with pits in them and you eat around the pit? Yeah, it's Bing cherries, usually.
Bing?
Bing, B-I-N-G.
Okay.
These are like maraschino cherries?
Yeah. My family, they soak those in moonshine. And serve them at every single cookout that we have. Or party or something. And people just eat them. And get fucked up.
That's awesome.
They're so strong and nasty.
Well, those are also completely doused in alcohol. It might be a little different when they're not completely soaked in it.
Let me see. I feel like they do them for at least 6 months. Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically at that point more alcohol than cherry.
Definitely more alcohol than cherry. But you open it and you smell it. Moonshine. Wow. You're thinking.
Just listening.
No, you're thinking. What are you thinking?
I was thinking how adorable that look you just gave me was, and how it's similar to the look I used to have when I was a kid and I wanted to cute my way out of trouble. It's the teacher, I didn't do anything. I'm shy and innocent look.
Well, when I feel like I'm in trouble, I look at you and I'm like, what? Just keep asking.
I'll keep that in mind if you ever get yourself in too much trouble.
Yeah.
I like this, by the way.
What? Oh, yeah?
Little detail.
Little detail.
Makes your shirt go, a little more sexy, a little less boring. It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's plain, all black, long sleeve. I pull the sleeves up. Throw a scarf around my neck.
Fashion. Oh, man. Okay.
This isn't really I dress way better was just like, I was gonna throw anything on, and
I told you, just do you. Don't try and be perfect. So just do you. Don't try and be perfect. It's better this way. I mean, what if like you put your like most perfect foot forward, and like we weren't naturally designed to like each other, and I liked you because you were just, you know, and then it just turns out we both get disappointed later. Who wants that?
no one.
So yeah, just please don't disappoint me. Okay?
I'm not trying to be perfect.
You are a little bit.
No.
A little bit.
No, not even a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
I do like that. Although it's better. That's better. But like when it's
like my
you like
hair.
does that like hey, does that not like just bother you though when it's like you're like viewing the world through one eye?
No, but it's like my eyes are here.
Okay.
I can see you.
I used to have like long hair, and I know that I always like hated that when I
How
was
long was your hair? Really?
at one point. Yeah.
Did you do the ponytail?
Only in the gym sometimes when I needed to, but no, wore it down. Yeah, I never did it across my face, but I did it like kind of like tapered back, but like long in the whatever, and then like falling all like fluffy and beautiful.
Does Thor have long hair?
Thor, yeah, okay.
Okay. Was it like that?
Kind of ish actually. Although, you know, I think I'm pretty attractive. I'm not that attractive, all right? Like, don't get any idea. I know, like you're like picturing me all like, you know, sexy and naked. Just like, don't even go. I'm just Todd. I'm not Thor. I'm just Todd. I'm just some cute white boy from Colorado. That's as far as it goes.
Oh, you're from Colorado?
I am.
Okay. I have a girlfriend. My family has like a place there. So pretty. So nice.
It is nice. Have you been?
No.
I'm gonna just not ask you these questions. Whenever you say a place, I'll be like, have you been? I just don't.
I've been nowhere. I've been to Cali.
Okay, that's somewhere. It's the other side of the country. It's far away.
Vermont.
Okay.
All on the East Coast. Every single state. I don't have any freedom.
So no, I'm not making any promises because I just met you. But if we hang out, you're gonna go places. Okay.
We're gonna go places.
I don't mean like in some kind of deep like metaphorical like us. I just meant like physically we'll try like because I travel a lot, so you're gonna have to. So you'll deal with it.
I'll have to call out sick.
We'll figure it out. We'll come up with a creative hook. You'll do like some Ferris Bueller's Day Off shit and whatnot. It'll be good.
Bad liar.
Either that or we'll just get you like working for yourself. Whatever.
Working for myself.
I'll entrepreneur you. Yeah.
I do plan on launching.
That is one of the things you told me that I didn't know May, but like one of the things you told me that actually like impressed me a little about you. I was like, oh, silly little ditzy, funny girl, but then like I was like, this girl's actually like, you know, kind of legit. Like a bit of a dreamer.
Silly, funny girl. Ditzy. Oh,
you have to take into account the context in which I met you. All right, it's not like I met you at a banking convention.
No, you didn't.
So you know.
Okay.
You had to overcome
I get
stereotypes.
When I'm drunk.
I mean, you were cute. Obviously, I didn't hate you. If I hated you, I wouldn't have talked to you for, you know, a fraction as long as I have.
Yeah.
But no, that was one of the first things that actually, like, I was like, okay, this girl's maybe like,
Yeah.
I like people with ambition.
I have goals.
Like, I would prefer. And this is funny. So I lived in LA for a while. And in LA, there's all kinds of people with like crazy pipe dreams that'll never come true, right? But that said, I would prefer to hang out with someone that has a dream that'll never happen than to hang out with someone who's like forgotten how to dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
That's why my surroundings have changed.
Yeah. So obviously I'm qualifying her here. A little bit of qualified, a little bit of disqualified, but mostly like showing her that I actually like her, showing her she's winning me over, that kind of stuff. But the other thing I want to point out from the women perspective and from the sort of emotional perspective and frame perspective is that, again, I'm telling her how to impress me. I'm telling her, be ambitious, have a dream, that kind of stuff. Because personally, I like people that are like that. I like people that are ambitious and have a dream. People that aren't that way tend to bore me a bit. But again, if I don't tell her, if I don't give her the roadmap of how to impress me, she won't know how to impress me. And if we were to have, not really so much for one night stand, but if we were to have like a longer term relationship, she and I, it would be important that she know that, and important she know that she'll have like encouragement to those things from me, and she'll have discouragement from being boring from me, right? It helps shape the relationship from the get-go. And it's so important to set those standards early because relationships basically are based on precedent. They're based on what has happened before is expected to keep happening. So if you set the relationship up early on in such a way that she's behaving in the way you like and she's doing things that excite you, she's probably going to continue doing the things that you like and that excite you over the course of the relationship. But if you set it up so that she gets used to doing something very different and then you ask her to change, she's like, no, wait, that's not what I bargained for. Or no, wait, I'm confused, I don't know how to do that. All right? So it's very important to set these frames very early on.
And I have a very, very small circle.
Should I like look through your hand? You have a circle of one?
Circle of one.
It's not a circle.
No,
that's like geometry. That's a point.
Well, stop. No, I'm kidding. I mean, I only have like, I would say 3 girlfriends that I'm like really, really close to. That's it. Yeah. That I would tell like anything to. That's it.
Would you get along better with guys or girls?
I would say guys. I don't know. I feel like just because I used to be like a little tomboy girl, I connect more with guys than I do with girls. Like, I'm not the drama type of person, so I don't really like girls.
So this is more blueprint information, more kind of figuring out how she is. To be fair, I kind of should have better answers for what this blueprint is. It's hard for me to explicitly state it because I think it can go a lot of different ways, though, like having more guy friends than girlfriends. I think there are a lot of subcategories within this, so by itself, it's not so meaningful, but it is good in a more general context if you have other information to use it with. I've found certain times girls that have more guy friends than girlfriends tend to be just much more sexually open and have had more sex. Or they sometimes they, on the other hand, can be just like a lot less drama and a lot higher self-esteem. Or sometimes it's just like because they're just very sporty. There's different things that come out of it. And I wouldn't say to take this one piece of information and say I can say absolutely about this girl because of it. But just note that it is a piece of the puzzle, and as you're putting together her blueprint, and as you're over the course of many, many girls kind of developing a sense of how girls act based on their characteristics, this is a factor that plays in. It does play differently under different circumstances. So it's worth noting, but don't treat it as like the be-all, end-all. You can determine something from it alone kind of a trait. Fair enough.
They're a pain in the ass. Do you watch sports? Which sports?
I'm surprised you can see me like looking that way. You have good peripheral vision.
Yeah, I do.
I'm like nodding. I'm like, she's not even looking at me. I'll just keep nodding until she sees. That sport, a lot.
Soccer.
I played that sport very, very, very seriously for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when I was 5 years old, I decided I want to play professionally. And you know how like every kid says that to their friends, like, Daddy, I want to be in the major leagues. You know what we look like right now? We look like the couple that's been like married for 10 years and is like so tired of each other, they're just on their phones the whole time.
I can't find it. Oh my god.
That's true.
I feel like, but these are just boys.
Like, yeah.
Oh.
Dear Diary. I met this girl, and she seemed like she was really sweet and cute and smart and had her act together. And then I realized the smart and had her act together part was completely off base. But,
it's the drink.
Yeah. First of all, notice the teasing structures and stuff. We'll talk more about that in the verbal section. But what I want you to notice here is the little slap on like the shoulder and the it's the drink, right? That's showing she's very reactive. She's feeling like the need to justify herself. She's feeling sort of deeply in my frame. And then it's the drink is great because it means that she's accepting the frame that if she's not quite herself tonight, it's because of the alcohol. Now, granted, she's had, I think at this point, one drink, or it's either one drink, 1.5 drinks, something like that. She hasn't had a lot to drink. She's like nowhere near anything resembling drunk. But she's like, it's the drink. She's giving herself the excuse. That's a great sign that she's going to be willing to be a little frisky, make some like mistakes with me, that kind of a thing, right? She's willing to kind of put aside her logical self and be in her, oh, it just happened, it wasn't my fault self. Right, so very, very good positive sexual indicator that.
I am smart.
I totally believe it. While you're doing that, would you like another drink? Because I don't think there's going to be a more opportune, huh? While you're done looking for, while you're busy looking for yourself, do you want me to, because I don't think there's going to be a more opportune time for me to get a drink without it like disturbing our conversation. Since you're going to be on there for 10 more minutes finding yourself?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to be on here for 10 minutes. I'm just wondering why this is straight. Athletics.
So gin and tonic then? All right.
I'll be off when you get back.
Uh-huh.
I'm not kidding.
I'll race you. Okay. Would you say you had it harder than average, average, or easier than average growing up?
I'll say average.
Is that a cop-out? Rather than guessing at Blueprint, you can always just ask questions that are designed to get at Blueprint. Although, to be fair, this wasn't really designed to get at Blueprint. I already feel like I'm pretty comfortable. I know who she is. I'm doing relatively well. I don't need that. I actually asked this because I'm genuinely curious. I'm genuinely trying to figure her out and genuinely trying to understand her as a person. And that's key, okay? That should be your vibe and your attitude and your idea when talking to a girl that you like is, who is this girl? I'm interested in her. I'm fascinated by her. I would like to find out more. If you genuinely care and want to find out more, you're going to be very compelling, you're going to be very engaged, and the conversation is going to be much, much, much better. So I say this whole like Blueprint thing like is this very like manipulative thing in some ways, and I say that just because I'm trying to point out the tactical aspect of it. But really the idea behind Blueprint is genuinely take an interest in the girl, genuinely try to get to know her on a deep level. And when you do get to know her, it's just natural that you're going to understand how to please her better. And that's better for everyone. If you know how to please her, it's a better experience for her as well, okay? So this is like Blueprint fishing questions if you want to look at it tactically. But really, I'm actually intrigued because this girl does seem like both sides of the coin. And I want to know what her motivation is, where she comes from, because she's a little bit interesting. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to see if one or the other of those was...
if one outweighed the other?
No, if one was an obvious outgrowth of like, or if you identified really strongly one way.
No.
So I always identified as like, I was very lucky. Not that like things were given to me, but I was very lucky to be born with a lot of talent and with really, really good parents. And then like, I think what I got in life I earned beyond that, but I just had such a big head start that it just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made sense. So I really like that. Maybe this is just me being in love with myself a little bit, but I really, really like that as a way to convey success without being bragging. It's a very modest sort of way of conveying success to me. I was very lucky, not in the sense that I didn't earn my success I've had, but I was very lucky to have been put in the right place at the right time, to have had a lot of resources. And so yes, I've worked hard for my success, but because I was lucky, because a lot of people helped me out, it just kind of made sense it would happen, right? That's a very, very gracious, very humble way of being a very, very successful person. I love the framing of that. I want to point that out to you. If you could convey your personality to a girl and your station in life to a girl, I just like that framing. I really, really do. So yeah, this is me being in love with myself a little bit, but it's me sharing with you the way in which I convey those traits that I think is very, very effective.
Good for you.
Thanks, Mom. Anyway,
Good for you. Do I sound like a mom?
No, you sounded like Like a guidance counselor.
A guidance counselor. Oh gosh.
Are you gonna tell me like what to do with my life to make myself happy and better?
No. I think you know that by now.
I think I'm doing all right. So when she said, I think you know that by now, what I read that to mean was, I think you've got your life pretty well under control and handled. However, she didn't explicitly say it, and I would like her to explicitly say it, right? I want to get that explicit comment of, I think you have a really good life, or I think you're very successful. I admire the way you've lived your life. I want to get that overt comment, so that's why I ask for it. Again, this is taking what's sort of subtext and make it into text, right? Once she likes you, once she's made a decision in your favor, you want to do what you can to maximize the effect of that decision and to make it a consciously accepted thing, right? You want to be on dates with girls who have logically decided they like you, right? That's the situation you want to be in. When the girl's logically decided she likes you, things are going to go really, really well. When the girl's made that click in her mind, this is the one I want, this is the one I'm willing to work on, this is the guy I have a crush on, I like this one, I better not let him get away, that's when good things happen. And you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay.
I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I think I'm doing okay, right? Very much justifying, very much insecure about her life station relative to mine, her success relative to mine, a little bit flustered. All of these are great indicators that she views me as very high value. She's feeling very emotionally reactive to me. She's in a moment of kind of like confusion, whatever. The combination of those three factors is an optimal, ideal time to go for a kiss. You may have noticed in other date situations that the times that I go for kisses look a lot like this. This situation is pretty ideal for that sort of an escalation because when you kiss under these auspices, when you kiss under this frame, it's your kiss is a reward for her as opposed to something you're doing to her. It's something you're doing for her as opposed to her. It's a reward for her. It's from such a great high-value frame, and it's such an enhancement to the interaction.
But you're thinking. I can tell.
I was thinking,
looking at you.
I like the modesty.
What?
Combined. The modesty combined with the look that immediately followed the modesty, which was so cocky.
Cocky? I'm not cocky.
It was somehow cocky and intimate at the same time. That's hard to do.
Is it?
It is.
No.
I'm impressed.
Are you messing up my hair?
I don't think you can.
Yes, I can.
One final thing I would note about that kiss was that it also came from sexual tension, right? It came from us like kind of staring at each other and holding the gaze a little bit too long. That's another great, basically a technique for kissing is to hold the gaze too long and lean in, but it's also a great indicator for a kiss. So combine that with all the other indicators that I mentioned, it was pretty much just picture perfect, textbook example, when to go for the kiss. I think if I got it wet, it would get messed up really fast. But I think as long as it's dry, it'll stay pretty good.
My hair's curly.
I know. I can tell.
It's wavy. Actually.
You'd be genetically very strange if it wasn't, actually, to be fair.
Pretty much.
But
yeah.
But as long as it stays straight, it'll stay pretty good. I think.
Yeah. You can get a little crazy.
Although, come on, let me see on it. You like that? That's kind of fun to do.
I'm sure it is.
I like the reaction.
Guys.
I'm sorry to be so common.
They love to pull hair.
They love to pull hair.
You would think girls would like to pull hair more than guys.
Well, guys don't have much hair to pull usually. I will say when my hair was long, I certainly liked a little pull here and again.
You can pull your hair.
Yeah, you can give me a, like, unfortunately I got it cut recently. Before you could really pull it.
Like
Now you
buzz
can kind
in
of
the
pull
back?
it. Not like buzz, but it's like a little bit like, it's fairly short.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a week or two. I'll give you something to hang on to. But, not just yet.
Very, very cocky, Todd.
Who, me?
Mm-hmm.
I was just talking about my hair. I don't know what you're talking about. I get a straightforward question, I give a straightforward answer.
Okay. Well, that's good. Straightforward is good.
For the most part. What are you most competitive at?
I don't know. I think it depends. I think it depends on the person and the event. Whatever is going on. I always want to be best dressed, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm laughing, but it's okay. It's a very casual. But your eyebrows, you're doing the eyebrow thing.
You say so.
You did. You were just like.
Could you say that again, just the way you just did it?
Did.
I don't know if I can even hit that note.
Yeah, my voice gets a little squeaky. My old roommate, she would always say every time when you would get like really happy or you would get like drunk or whatever or just your voice goes from here to here.
She just kind of made my point for me, but essentially she just told me that tone of voice is an indicator of her having a good time, being excited, being turned on, etc. Right? And I already knew that. That's a generally very common thing when a girl's voice goes really high like that, the kind of thing I was making fun of. It is a pretty good indicator that they are very reactive to you, especially if they're saying things that are like resistancy, like, no, I don't want to know, we can't do that kind of stuff. It's a way of like being socially proper and saying the thing they're supposed to say, but not really meaning it. Still being very flirty, still being very much in your frame, in your world, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that high tone of voice in general is a huge indicator of attraction and excitement. And especially when you get sort of like, I want to be careful saying this. I don't want to tell you guys like that no doesn't mean no or whatever, because no does mean no, especially when it's a real hard no. But when you're getting like very token type resistance, and in particular, it's also in that high tone of voice, a lot of times it's more of an indicator that she likes you than it is an indicator that she's not happy with what's going on, okay? Now, take with a grain of salt, and always, always, always be cautious of when a girl says no. Be more cognizant and cautious of that. Err on the side of safety, okay? Err on the side of safety and don't be an idiot. But do note the tone of voice and how it affects whatever she's saying, whether it's positive or negative.
It gets really squeaky.
You like Mickey Mouse? Or I guess Minnie Mouse. Let's give you the female mouse. We'll give you the female mouse.
Yeah. I don't feel like Mickey his voice doesn't get high. Not that high.
As guys go, yeah. I mean, he walks around looking. It sounded like he got kicked in the balls all the time. Like he's up there.
But not as high.
Not as high as Minnie. Minnie's even higher.
I feel like, yeah.
I wish I could do a Mickey Mouse voice, but I'm kind of glad I can't. To be fair.
I don't think I can do it either, so it's okay. No.
Je ne sais. As they say in French. Je ne sais?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's French for I don't know.
It kind of sounds like yo no sé.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It's similar.
I thought that's what it was, but I thought I'd ask before I make myself look stupid.
Have you heard, here's a fashion term for you. Je ne sais quoi. Have you heard that?
Yeah. But I don't know what it means.
You know what that means?
No.
Oh, woman. Woman, I'm gonna give you like, I'm gonna My Fair Lady you, basically. Do you know what that means? Do you have any idea what that means? No.
I'm gonna My Fair Lady you, whatever you just said.
Yeah, you have any idea what that means? No? Okay, so My Fair Lady is a play from like way back in the day.
A play, okay.
It's a play. Yeah. It was made into a movie, but it's a play originally. So on the surface, it's just me telling a story, me explaining a word, etc. But what am I doing here? I'm becoming an authority in her world, right? Essentially, like what I'm doing is I'm using the play as a metaphor for us, right? So in the play, I'm Henry Higgins, the linguist. She's Eliza Doolittle, the poor beggar flower girl, and I'm upping her station in life. I'm making her life significantly better by being around me and by the things I'm teaching her. Meanwhile, I just taught her a French word, right? And so there's a very clear metaphor there, right? And so rather than saying like, I could make your life so much better. If you're around me, your life would be enhanced so much. Instead, I just tell the story and let her infer it. Okay? So again, actually, it's a good idea to mention this as well. In writing, there's a thing they call it the objective correlative. What it means is show, don't tell. Okay? So instead of like explicitly spelling out, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, which is really boring writing and very try-hard writing, instead, you show the example and you let the reader infer the lesson, or you have to let the reader infer the message and let the reader fill in the details. That's what I'm doing with girls, is I'm showing, not telling. Okay? So instead of being like, if you were with me, your life would be enhanced in this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way. Instead, I tell them a story that's metaphorically similar, and I let them fill in the gaps. Okay? Very, very powerful technique, and it creates inception. It creates the idea that the frame is coming from her, the idea is coming from her as opposed to from me. And people reject ideas that come from the outside. They accept ideas that came from within their own mind. So the best way to get an idea in someone's head is to plant the seed and then make them feel as though it was their seed and let it grow in their mind instead of trying to plant it in their mind. Premise of the play is this. There's these two guys and they're like linguists. They're like language experts. And they make a bet, basically. This one guy's, his contention is that everything, your success in life, is all about how you talk and present yourself. That's it. Right? If you talk and present yourself the right way, you'll be treated a certain way, you'll get things in life. Right? And so he start off the movie by saying, like, he goes around to everybody and he can tell them within like 3 blocks where they grew up based on how they talk, because he's just like, he knows the language and ins and outs and whatnot. So he makes a bet with the other linguist that he can take this like girl who's essentially like some combination of like beggar / flower sales girl on the street and can like pass her off in royal court as royalty. Yeah. Within like 6 months or something like that, right? And they do it all by like teaching her to talk and teaching her like how to etiquette and carriage and all that kind of stuff.
I feel like there's been a movie and I've seen this.
There's probably been like follow-up movies of it.
Yeah.
Like for example, the movie like She's All That is kind of an offshoot of My Fair Lady in a way. Right? It's like turn the nerdy girl cool. In any case, I'll teach you the like little French expressions that are gonna make you seem classy.
Make me super classy.
Super classy. So classy. So the first one you should learn though, which is je ne sais quoi, because it's actually something that I thought when I met you. And this is probably gonna be a really like severe compliment, but deal with it, okay? So je ne sais quoi means I don't know what. Literally it means I don't know what. Okay? But the way it's used, they say that person has that certain je ne sais quoi. It means they have that certain like special characteristic.
But you don't know what it is?
Yeah, that certain intangible quality you can't put your finger on that sets them apart in a good way. It's a je ne sais quoi.
Okay.
So when I met you, I thought you were ditzy and silly and kind of whatever. But I was like, she has a little je ne sais quoi about her.
Okay.
If a Russian girl calls a guy like Zaychik, it means like bunny, but it means like in like a very endearing like bunny I would sleep with. It's weird. So here again, I'm conveying obliquely. So I'm teaching her these Russian words that essentially you wouldn't know unless you either spoke Russian, which I don't, or if you'd had someone say them to you in Russian. And again, having someone say these words to you in Russian means some Russian girl was really, really fond of you, right? It's implying, you slept with a Russian girl, right? But I'm not saying it. So I'm like, I fucked this hot Russian girl. That's not social proof. That's like negative social proof because you're trying hard and you're making a big deal of it. But if you just mention like these cool words that you learned, and then the way you learn them, the only way I can tell this story is by mentioning that these things happened. Now you're conveying that social proof. You're conveying that you've been in demand. You've had, hot girls. You've had girls very, very into you, etc. Right? So again, I'm telling the word definition. I'm showing the lifestyle that I've had in the social proof, right? So again, it's an idea of what are you showing versus what are you telling? And showing is more powerful, more effective, and much more subtle. So it just happened instead of being try hard or forced. I don't understand. But anyway, I dated a Russian German girl for a few years.
Yeah.
So that's like I won't get into it. At certain times she would say, "Люблю and Zaychik." Just say.
So you were a bunny.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't imagine me in bed right now.
I wasn't.
Uh-huh. I can tell by your blushing that you weren't.
No, I wasn't.
Are you hiding your face right now?
A little bit. Because you said I was blushing. I don't think I was.
Okay. I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't think your skin tone changes that much when you blush, but I tell from the expression. So this should be very, very obvious. She's blushing because she's very emotionally reactive. The reason she's very emotionally reactive is she was imagining me sexually, etc., etc. So you can tell that all these things are definitely working, are having an effect, and it's an effect that's very, very clear in the real world. And when it happens, I am being sure to point it out to make it somewhat obvious that is what's happened, because I want it, again, not just an emotional thing. I want it as a factual, logical thing. I want her to factually acknowledge she likes me. She's basically factually acknowledging right now that she was just thinking about me having sex. And there's a word for that, it's fantasizing, right? And that's not actually what necessarily she was doing, but that's what the implication is.
No, it may, a little bit.
A little bit, but it's not exactly the best lighting either.
No, it's not. Just
It'd be better if I was here, I could tell by like temperature. I need to get a little flush and like warm. You do feel warm.
Am I?
A little bit.
I'm a warm-hearted person. What? That look.
What look?
The look you're giving me. It's like you're thinking something.
What would you like me to be thinking?
I just want to know what you're thinking.
I was thinking that you're kind of adorable when you get flustered.
Am I?
Adorable or flustered?
Both.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah?
Maybe.
I love moving my hair out of my face. I like it in my face. Oh, you're just... So, with you traveling, like how long are you like in the States?
Like in the States as like an entire country, or how long am I in any city I travel to, or what do you mean?
Like in New York.
So I mentioned this in the top layer breakdown, but this is what's called a buying question, okay? She's basically logically decided, and she's admitting to me, I want you in some capacity. Right now, the question now is, what capacity and is that available? Okay, so if I was around a lot, she potentially might want me in a boyfriend capacity. If I'm around not at all, she might be too scared to do anything, even if she likes me a lot, because she just doesn't want to get hurt. Right? She just doesn't want it to be like a one-off and then I leave potentially. That's why she's asking this question. And then there's the in-between, which is the sort of like hookup category, etc. And I want to make sure that I end up in that like hookup category. So I want to indicate that I'm around often enough that it could be more than a one-night stand, i.e. I'm not just like leaving town and not coming back for 6 months or something like that. At the same time, I don't want to indicate I'm there all the time, and or even if I indicate that I'm there all the time, I don't want to indicate that I'm super available and I'm at her disposal 24/7 and I'm ready to rush into being her boyfriend or something like that. So I want to take kind of a middle road answer, and I want to indicate that like I'm not completely scarce, but I'm not completely available either. So there's a chance for her, right? There's a chance that something could happen. Now, I'm doing a lot of other things to make it like fairly clear that there's not a chance. I'm very high value. I've been disqualifying various ways, those kind of things. And just my general vibe is very much not in the provider frame at all. It's very much a lover frame type of a vibe. But I still do want to just be careful not to fall too far into provider frame with the way I'd answer this. And I certainly, a lot of guys would make the mistake of making a commitment, be like, oh no, I'm around all the time. We'll definitely be able to hang out a lot, right? That would be bad. That would be bad. That'd be falling way too quickly into her frame and being way too easy, right? On the other hand, if it was, again, I'm never in town, then she might have reservations that direction as well. So I want to fall in the middle, and I want to fall in the middle in the right way, which is high value, not 100% unattainable, but enough out of her reach that she feels like getting me would be a win, and she's afraid of losing me. It depends. During the summer, I traveled a lot. During the winter, I'm not going to travel as much because places aren't as hospitable, so I don't want to go to them. I would say typically I'm in New York something like 2.5 weeks out of the month, and then like traveling a week and a half out of the month, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Usually, I mean, I had some lengthy spells recently, but just on average.
I guess in order to like hit the head on a nail, you have to
Hit the what?
head on the nail.
I mean, I guess that's technically correct. You usually said the other
it?
way. It's usually nail on the head.
Oh, nail.
It's still correct. I mean, it is the head of the nail you're hitting, so it's not wrong. It's just unusual.
That's funny. Oh my.
So there was definitely a part of me that felt like making a joke about head and hitting it right now. And early on in the interaction, I quite likely might do something like that as a good misinterpretation. It's just it's too obvious and easy, and like sitting there is like a lobbed up volleyball just waiting to be spiked. Like it's almost hard not to. But at this point, I don't need more value, right? And I don't need to be cheesy or obnoxious at all because she already likes me, she's already highly committed to me. And so doing that kind of thing, if anything, would tend to break some trust, would tend to take me backwards in the interaction, right? So being obnoxious and like misinterpreting everything sexual for its own sake isn't always the best idea. Early on, bringing up sex a lot in the conversation is useful. Later on, once it's already like palpably in the air and you're trying to like venue change her and you don't want her to feel slutty about it, actually chilling out and not bringing up sex quite as often can be a very, very good thing.
God, I'm gonna laugh about this later. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing, I am laughing near you.
Near me. I said head on the nail.
You did.
I'm so stupid.
Not stupid.
Silly. What's in here?
It's the $1 million question. What's through the red door?
Yeah.
Are you a curious
Red
person?
door.
Are you an innately curious person?
Somewhat, yes.
Are you an innately trusting or distrusting person?
I don't think I'm trusting.
Good to know. The answers to these questions will change depending how much she likes you, okay? If the girl doesn't like you a lot and you say, are you adventurous, are you spontaneous, how trusting are you? She's gonna be very nervous and very rigid and be like, why are you asking me? No, not really, that kind of stuff. If a girl really likes you and is pretty much down for something, she'll be like, yeah, I'm pretty adventurous, yeah, I'm very trusting with like people I know, right? She'll open up and she'll say these kind of things because she's trying to encourage you, maybe she's logically trying to encourage, or more likely subconsciously she just feels that way around you at that moment, and so in that moment she is a trusting person. So in that moment with you, she's a trusting person, so when you ask her that question, she asks herself, am I a trusting person? And in that moment she is, so she answers yes. Whereas when she was nervous and shy and you just approached her, or it was early on and she didn't know you that well, she asked herself, am I feeling trusting right now? Am I feeling, like opening up to someone? Am I feeling adventurous right now? The answer is no, I'm feeling a little scared and weirded out. And so the answer to those questions varies based on her emotional state and varies based on her investment to you. And that makes those questions great indicators for how ready she is for something to happen with you, which is why I use those questions as screeners before I close.
I would hope so.
Are you a trustworthy person?
Yes.
So if at some point, not right now, but at some point, like maybe later this evening or in the future, I felt as though I wanted to like open up to you and like tell you about myself, and you'd be a worthy recipient of such information and trustworthy.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Yes.
Interesting.
The best people have small circles. I have a small.
You have like a circle of one.
A circle of one. No, a circle of 4. They're my girlfriends.
Sweet, that's called a square.
No.
I'm sorry.
Points on a circle.
I'm I'm pretty sure you can't play connect the dots with 4
No,
points
you
and make a
can't.
circle.
You can't. But,
But-
I mean, if you don't use straight lines, it would be arched a little bit.
So if you're a little crooked, you can pull it off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's not good. Crooked Hillary. No, well, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow, all right.
No, you can't be crooked. Arched. Where's the ladies' room?
I feel like it's probably...
Oh.
No, that's employees only. It might be one of those two, or it might be in the lobby. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's employees. So that says employees. The next one says employees, and then the other one has like a red light behind it.
Yeah, don't go in the red light room. I've been to Amsterdam. That shit's like, that ain't for you.
What's in the red room?
In Amsterdam, they have the red light district. That's where like that's where like the legalized prostitution happens. So like all the girls are in like little red rooms with like their red lit backgrounds.
Oh.
So that's why I said don't go in the anyway.
Yeah. No. Good to know though.
I would say check the lobby or yeah, check the lobby. It's your best bet. Oh, you trust me. I like this.
Should I take it with me?
You can trust me. I have more to lose than to gain.
More to lose than to gain. Okay.
First of all, leaving the purse with me, massive, massive indicator. I mentioned this in the other breakdown, but huge indicator of trust, right? And the big thing, she obviously likes me. The big thing that would be the impediment to sex would be trust. So trust is there. If she leaves her purse and just sits it there and I'm just watching it like that, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Massive indication of trust. Very, very, very good. Next thing is, notice I pointed out, oh, you trust me. Because again, this theme keeps coming up, making the emotional logical, right? Making what's covert overt, right? So I want it put out in the conversation, yes, she trusts me. I want her to agree that she trusts me. Because later on, I want, when she comes back to my room, for her to like acknowledge that she trusts me. I want her to have already said, this is a guy I trust in her head. And then finally, that I have more to lose than to gain. I really like that line. I think that's a line I'm going to probably use more often as an explicit line, but it's a frame that's really, really good, right? The idea I have more to lose than to gain. Basically what I'm conveying, it's in the attraction matrix, I'm conveying what's called social trust. And that's like basically the reason why if you're friends of friends, people trust you more. Or if you're a celebrity, people somehow trust you more a little bit because you have a status to maintain, right? If you're friends of friends and you do something wrong, you would fall out of favor not just with that person, but with your friends, so you stand to lose more. If you're a celebrity and bad stuff comes up against you, you're very susceptible to it, and there's a lot more downside to you. So you already have things going so well, you don't want to take risks with that downside. So it's a very high status thing that I have more to lose than to gain, but it's also a huge trust builder. And this is essentially the essence of when we talk about social comfort, or social trust, sorry, as one of the attractive qualities.
This lotion smells good.
Is that yours, or is it like what was in the bathroom?
It's in the bathroom.
Is it?
It smells like lemons or lemongrass or something. I should have read it.
Okay. Fair enough.
Did you say awkward?
I said fair enough. Did you say awkward? Is that what you said?
I thought that's what you said.
Nah.
You were like awkward. Fair enough.
I said okay, fair enough. But,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
fair enough. I don't think you'll ever really hear me say that. Awkward. Yeah, because I don't usually feel awkward about things. Does that make sense?
Good.
I'm usually pretty like, whatever I did was...
It's either this or this.
Well, it's like, well, A, whatever happened, it's in the past, but B, whatever I did was probably the best I knew to do at the time, so
Yeah.
let's just go with it. Is that fair?
Yes.
Two very attractive qualities conveyed there. One is the fact that I don't feel socially awkward very easily. That's a very high value quality. It means I've gotten through life without having to care that much about the opinions of others. But the other thing of, I do what I want and just let it slide, that's also highly, highly, highly attractive. Okay? So again, I'm just making conversation kind of on the surface, but deep down, all the conversational topics I'm using, all the perspectives that I'm exhibiting, although they're actually my perspectives, they're actually what I really believe, but they are also the perspectives of an attractive man. And I'm making sure to highlight these things over and over and over and over again, right? Also the idea of I usually don't do things I'll feel awkward about. I'm conveying that I have integrity, right? So there's so many positive qualities being conveyed whenever I'm talking about my philosophy to her. Because my philosophy is the absolute like epitome, the absolute like expression of what the philosophy of the attractive man should be. There's one place I would take you, but it's like, I want to know you better first, kind of. It's the way like, I was actually surprised to find it. It's kind of like,
Where is it?
it's close, but you know, how do I know I can trust you? How do I know you won't like, you know, steal my kidneys and, you know, sell them on the black market or something?
I leave girls will leave there from anywhere.
Well, you left your purse too, which is like a whole other like. That doesn't mean
My life is in there.
I mean,
No,
not
it's
that
not. Well, a little bit.
If I had run off with that, you have what? Your iPhone and then like credit cards and stuff. So you'd have the hassle of reporting your credit card stolen and dealing with it.
Would you take my phone or would you take my bag?
Bag.
Huh?
Bag. I'd wrap it in my jacket so it doesn't look like I'm a man carrying a bag.
I mean, I'm sorry. Would you take my purse or my work bag?
Oh shit. I wouldn't actually. To be fair, I didn't even realize that was down there, so it would have been the top one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's good that I can text from my computer.
As I said, I don't think you're like I said. I have far more to lose than to gain. That's the thing is like. Okay, so here's something crazy. Like I don't know what this will make you think about me or not, but whatever. So I've always loved like movies with a little bit of like shadiness to them, like a little bit of like nefarious, live by your wits, con artist, poker bluff, those kind of movies, right? Because like there's something very cool about like Ocean's 11 type movies or like older movie like The Sting or something like that. You're like, I don't know, Catch Me If You Can, any of those like.
Oh, Catch Me If You Can, I know that one.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So.
Like with Leonardo. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're like, oh, Leo's in it. I got that shit. All right. You can tell from her reaction that that made an impact, right? Now, why did that make an impact? It's because I got her thinking of, you know, obviously I think like a lot of girls are attracted to Leonardo DiCaprio. And obviously she's attracted to me. And I just equated the two of us in her mind, right? So now like the two of us I'm equated with I am Leo in her mind. That's pretty fucking strong. But it's not that big of a leap because she was already feeling very aroused by me, very turned on by me. She was already feeling I was a very high status, that I was someone pretty special. So it's not even that big of a leap, but now it's just taking to another level and she doesn't know how to deal with it. She's very flustered, she's giggly, et cetera, et cetera. But again, by metaphor, I've just made myself more attractive. I'm going to go rest. I have a question for you before I go, which is, when I return, you want to do another drink here or I can take you somewhere else, but do I trust you?
Do you trust me? I don't know. That's up to you.
I'll think about it.
Think about it.
You're very cute though. I'll be back. So now I've seeded the poll, basically. I've seeded the reason for the poll. I've seeded what we're going to do, all that kind of stuff. I've seeded the action of it, and I basically put it on the table, but then I didn't quite ask it. I didn't give it away. I was like, well, actually, I don't know. I'm not sure if we want to do that. Like, I'll go to the bathroom. I'll think about it, right? So now I've set it up as a win for her, so that if she gets pulled by me, she won. She was the one who I chose to take home, as opposed to not. Right? Now, she doesn't explicitly know that it's to take home, but she has this thing set up as in her mind, if she gets it, she's won, so she has a motivation for it. And that's why when I come back, I'm not even going to bring it up. She's going to bring it up, and she's going to essentially pull herself, right? She's going to orchestrate the pull. How much nicer is that when she makes the decision, like decides to pull herself instead of you having to beg and plead and persuade and prod and cajole and that kind of stuff, right? Much, much, much easier, but it's because I did my work up front. I did my work up front. I set it up in the right way, and I framed it the right way to make it a win for her and to make it a very easy taking her home instead of difficult situation of taking her home.
Why is it saying that 3 times? I hate Gmail.
Hi. That's the message I come back to is I hate Gmail.
Well, at least I don't hate you.
Yeah, whatever. If you ever did hate me, I'd be okay with it. You can love me, you can hate me. Just don't be like blasé about me. Promise never to be ambivalent about me. Deal? This is something I say a lot. It's not really that important in this context. She already likes me. The frames have been established, etc. But this, you can love me or hate me. Just don't be blasé about me. That is, I think, it's a conveyance of we are man to woman, right? It's a conveyance of we are important people in each other's lives. We're not just acquaintances. We're not just blah, right? I think it's very valuable. It's also saying that you're okay with being polarizing, which I think is a high value thing. You're saying, I'm okay with being loved, I'm okay with being hated. I have no fear of social rejection. So there's a lot of good frames in that. It's something I say a lot. This isn't the optimal context for it, but it came up, so I said it.
You don't want to shake on
You want to like shake hands, like all businessy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. Have you thought about I don't even know what you were thinking about. Oh, taking me to wherever this secret place is that you only take people when you trust them.
I'm open to it, why not? So look at that framing. She's like, do you want to like maybe pull me now? And I'm like, sure, why not? How much cooler is that than me begging and pleading and trying to convince her that it's a cool place and that it's okay? Right? And how did that happen? It's because I set it up in advance. I did the right steps so that when the time actually came for the close, I didn't have to close her, she's closing me. That's advanced game. That's the way that you want a pull to actually happen. Because when pulls happen that way, you get back to the room, you don't get last minute resistance, things just go nicely. And you have like amazing sex with great foreplay, and the girl like, taking care of your needs sexually instead of being like, no, okay, fine. Or no, and then leaving, right? It's just such a better premise on so many levels. It's just such a better interaction on so many levels.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? You're small, I don't think you would like overpower me. As you're small, I don't think you would like overpower me and rob me. You'll be alright. You wouldn't flex for me earlier, but now you will?
A little bit.
Alright, let me get the check and then I'll take it up. It's kind of like, it was kind of a surprise for me, actually. Whatever, I'll give you the whole denouement in a minute. That's another, there's a good word.
I just want my jacket on, I'm so cold.
There's another French word for you.
What?
Denouement. Yeah, but I think denouement is the correct French pronunciation.
Moi.
Moi, like M-O-I. Moi. I have to grab my check. Give me a second. Yeah. Well, I feel like I have yet to see like the bottom half of your face.
Half of my face?
Like the bottom. There you go. No, I mean I know I have, but like you keep going like under the.
It's because I like
freezing.
being like
snuggled up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I mean,
I think
if you're gonna know someone in something of an intimate capacity in New York in the winter, it's good if they like to snuggle up, right?
that's right.
It's kind of important in this city.
Yeah.
This ain't Miami.
Are you ready?
Ready as I'll be.
My work bag. I hate carrying this.
Yeah, you like feel all heavy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like weird random shit. And so this falls in the category of weird random. Mm-hmm. Check this out.
Ow.
No, I know you're thinking. Just check this out. Come on. We're not going here. We're going here. Because this it was a fucking total surprise to me, and it's kind of awesome. How cool and random. I hope there's a light out here, actually. How cool and random. So there we go. We're up to the room. Again, it was her idea as much as anything. She's very enthusiastic. Things are looking very, very good. But even there, I dot my I's and cross my T's and make sure that I'm talking the whole time on the way up and just on random, casual, conversational topics so that she doesn't start thinking, oh shit, what's going on? There's not that moment of awkward silence where she's like, where are we going? That kind of thing. Also, when I get back to my room, I told you I had that little balcony thing, so I went out through the room onto the balcony. We hung out there for a little bit rather than directly just on the room because it just makes things go more smoothly. It makes things a little nicer, makes the whole thing more palatable. It makes it more, it just happened, and it makes it more, I didn't have an agenda, right? Once the girl likes you, take your time. Why not? By taking your time, you allow for these scenarios where she's pulling you, she's closing you, she's escalating on you sexually instead of you escalating on her. And the funny thing is, by being patient, it's actually going to go faster. It's when you push hard and hear no and get resistance that it slows down. When you're patient and go even a little bit too slow and she's escalating on you, things go very, very quickly.